targeting to get this plant ready for our next season.
Next season means in 6 months from now.
That's right, less than 6 months.
Okay, so all this 285 crores gets spent in next 6 months. That's what you mean?
Part of it is already spent, and the balance will be spent before in the next 6 months.
Got it. And two, small bookkeeping questions. First is this GST impact of 40 crores. Where is it accounted in the P&L?
See, GST, the revenue always is captured net of GST. So the GST.
No, I'm talking about this 40 crores adjustment, Mr. Gandhi.
So the same practice is adopted for this also. There is no change, so is adjusted out of our top line.
Okay, got it. And the other bit is, what is the debt as of 30th September? And if you can help me with the debt at Varun Beverages level as well as at RJ Corp level?
Our debt as on date is approximately 2,400, which is a figure 600 crores lower than the corresponding figure of last year. So that much debt has been reduced. And at the group level, outside Varun, including all the operating, non-operating, holdco, subsidiaries, India, overseas, global, should be to the vicinity of about 200, which again is represented by, investment in other listed securities, which you are aware, RJ Corp has investment in, few companies.
So fundamentally, apart from Varun Beverages, the debt level is very low and less than 100 crores in all our entities.
Sorry, just a follow-up to that. So at the peak of the pandemic, if I recall correctly, you had called out about 1,200 crore, 1,300 crore debt at RJ Corp level, if I recall correctly. So you are saying now what is left is about 200 crores.
200 crores. 1,000 crores has been paid off.
Okay, interesting. Okay. Thank you and wishing you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. A request to all the participants, please restrict to 2 questions per participant. If time permits, please come back in the question queue for a follow-up question. The next question is from the line of Chirag Shah from CLSA. Please go ahead.
Thank you for taking my question. Unfortunately, we have not had a normal season since we acquired South and West territories. But now that things are normalizing, can you just give us a context of the growth differential that we had between South and West, and how do we our level of preparedness to gain market share in these territories?
So, you see, the actual working what we had started doing for the South and West, we never really got the opportunity to fructify it. But still, our organic growth in South and West is reasonably high, and we are growing at about 37%. So I think once we get a one normal year, our growth will be much higher, and we expect to rationalize and hopefully get to our the level of share which we should be.
So just on that, can you just give us a context of, from where you started to now, what has been the change in terms of the distribution infrastructure that we have put on ground?
So what has happened is actually when we took over the territory, the distribution system was quite weak. And as we started adding more vehicles, more routes, more people, unfortunately for us, we could not even face one real season. So we took over the territories in May 19, and both 20 and 21, both the years, our peak season, which is April, May, June, got spoiled because of pandemic. But still, as we had added our go-to-market and added our vehicles and our distributors, we are still growing at about 36-37%, which is a huge growth. And we feel if we would have had one season under our belt, we could have shown more confidence to the distributors, and we could have progressed much faster than this.
Sure, that's very helpful. My second question is on just continuing on the gross margins front. Now, last quarter, we mentioned that we have covered a lot of the PET for the full season, right? So far as Q3 is concerned, did we have the full impact of higher PET prices flowing through the P&L, or was there any low-cost inventory cover that was still left from Q2? And correct me if I'm wrong, but but we normally have higher stock of PET inventory going towards the end of the year. So what is the impact from that on the raw material price volatility going forward?
Well, there is an increase in the PET price, which we all know, but I mean, this quarter, the higher PET price is already taken into account, unless until, of course, in the next 60 days or 90 days further it goes up, which of course has not been taken into account. But we always take in a large quantity of stocks during the off season, which is when the best pricing of raw material is available to us. And that's why our inventory levels go high during our ending December, which is our calendar year.
And Mr. Jaipuria, since we have you, can you just also give us some feedback on the dairy portfolio launch that you have done in North India?
No, dairy is doing extremely well. Only, again, the same problem we had as we launched the product, we could not really spread it properly because the peak season we lost it, and but the growth is still at about 40% of what the growth has been, and the dairy beverage growth overall has been about 57%. So our Tropicana growth has been close to 40%, whereas dairy beverage has grown at 57%, and we expect if 2022 is normal, we should have a very healthy year for the dairy business. And we have launched new flavors which will further add to the growth of the dairy business.
So I know it is early days, but are there any learnings that we have, and do we have to go back to the drawing table in terms of the dairy portfolio that you have launched?
No, I don't think the only learning, unfortunately, was the pandemic, which affected the overall distribution. And whenever you are launching new products and you can't distribute properly, it affects it. But since the pandemic, when it started, market has started opening, it is showing huge traction, and 57% growth is a huge growth. And we expect it to get much better than this going forward.
Right. Mr. Gandhi, I mean, we have a large exposure to the Sri Lanka market as well. So, I mean, given the fact that the country is facing a lot of forex issues, is there any risk that we have to our business?
Well, Sri Lanka is very small within our total portfolio, but luckily what we did is our learning 2 years back was we have made these companies, all our foreign subsidiaries, debt free. So whatever is already invested, and capitalized properly, some is at the foreign currency translation comes in, but that effect is not going to be large because our investment in that country is one of the lowest.
Okay, got it. And sorry, and one last question, if I may slip in. Can you guys just give us a sense of where we see the promotion activities today, and is there a big bounce back that we are seeing on the promotion activity side?
Promotion. I didn't get the question properly. Can you speak little slowly? You're not coming through properly. Promotion activity.
The promotion activity, Mr. Jaipuria?
Obviously, the promotion activities have been reduced slightly, and discounting will be reduced slightly as the conditions prevail, so that we can be competitive also, but at the same time not over competitive. And we have to be careful on the margins, and we are being quite careful. And it's the cost escalation is to everybody, so everybody is being conscious now.
Got it. I'll just get back into the queue, and thank you very much for this, and all the best for the dairy business launch as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Chirag.
Thank you. I request all the participants, please restrict to 2 questions per participant. The next question is from the line of Nihal Jham from Edelweiss. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you so much, and congratulations to the management.
Thank you.
So 2 questions on my side. On the volume growth side, recently, obviously, we used to break the business in terms of out of home, and now in home has transferred specifically during COVID. Now, given the strong organic volume growth that we've seen, is it right to say that out of home is basically back to the pre-COVID level and the in-home has sustained, and that is what has led to this 11% CAGR? If that's the right way to break it up, if you could just give some more color around it.
No, absolutely. We used to have major portion in out of on the go, and home consumption used to be much less before the pandemic. And as the home consumption has gone up, that has stayed, whereas out of on the go market has again come back. So that's why we are seeing such robust growth, that both in home has grown and is sustaining, and out of on the go is again coming back to normalcy.
That's helpful, Mr. Jaipuria. A related question to that is that for this 11% number, is it that the exit number in September was much higher, or this was more or less similar through the quarter?
What is the 11%? I didn't get.
The organic 2-year organic volume growth that we achieved overall.
So that is comparative to 19 what we are talking, when there was no pandemic.
Yeah, this is CAGR over 19 because many of you are interested in knowing if there was no pandemic. So this growth instead of...
So what we are actually showing is even after we went through the pandemic in the peak season, we have still grown over a non-pandemic year.
Absolutely. So what I was trying to understand is that was it that by September this number was much higher, or was it more or less similar for all the 3 months in this quarter?
In fact, all the 3 months helped us in growing the...
No, what he is asking is this quarter, was it higher?
Actually...
Am I right, what you are...
Yeah, just asking that, was it that, say, the number must have been, say, 7-8% for the months of July, August, and specifically September would have seen a growth of 14-15%. And we see then...
That's why I was saying...
So July, August, September, all three were pretty good for us, and they've all grown at a reasonable pace, what we are showing at about 11%. Give or take 0.5%, 1% up or down.
Understood. That makes it clear. The other question, Jaipuria ji, was that, again, looking at the volume growth category-wise, are there any specific brands or categories which have done much better? We see that a lot of the growth has come in the TSD segment. Is it that, as we've discussed about Sting specifically in the past, is it the one that is adding a lot of incremental growth over, say, 2 years back, or anything around that can add new color to this?
Yes, our energy drink Sting has really outperformed the market and our own portfolio. We are growing close to 700%, which is 672% we are growing in Sting. And that has really outperformed, and we expect, and this is when the on-the-go was not quite rapid in the peak season. Because this is all small bottles, this is not large bottles, which is not had at home. So we expect this growth to continue because we will have the peak season hopefully next year. And the other product which grew well for us was Tropicana. We grew at about 40%. And Gatorade was the other product which grew at about 53% for us. And dairy beverages which grew at 57%. So all our new portfolios have grown tremendously well, including our core portfolio, which has grown healthily.
That's helpful. Just one last question from my side, that considering the new plant capex that we announced, how to look at capex for the coming 2 years?
It partly will depend on the growth also, and if the growth is so well accelerated, then there will be some more capex, but which is a very positive sign. But otherwise, the guidance which we have given is close to the depreciation value, is what we are looking at capex. Unless until, of course, we go to a new country or a new product, like dairy expands hugely, or Tropicana expands hugely, then we have limited capabilities and we'll have to expand on a greenfield plant.
But the guidance says that in the long run, if you have to see, the figure is going to be, for a longer period, going to be equal to the depreciation figure.
Sure. So this capex also fall in that, say, the depreciation figure?
In the longer run, yes. In the year by year, may not be, but in the longer average, yes.
Helpful. Thank you so much, and wish you all the best. I'll come back in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Dhruv from Monarch AIF. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir, and congratulations on a good performance. Sir, if you can tell us what would be the capacity at the Bihar Greenfield plant?
We can firstly tell you the lines which will be putting up. CSD PET line 720 ppm.
So our CSD line will be with a capacity of 720 bottles a minute. Our juice line would be 300 bottles a minute. Our water line will be 300 bottles a minute. And our glass line will be 600 bottles a minute. So these are the 4 lines we are putting there, which will be able to service the complete Bihar territory and maybe the outskirts of West Bengal.
Okay, that's great. Any projections on at peak capacity and in a normalized year what this revenue contribution could be from this plant?
This is going to expand like anything because the penetration in that space is very lower. And normally our plants in the full capacity basis, capex and the revenue ratio is about 2.5 times when they get matured, which of course it will take few years, but ultimately it will 185 into 2.5.
285.
285 into 2.5.
285 into 2.5x.
And we feel in a place like Bihar, it might be much faster than the normal few years it takes because it is very lowly penetrated, and we believe once we have the plant there, our growth will be much faster than we have anticipated.
Okay, that's correct, sir. And sir, also I wanted to know about this Kathua facility that you are putting up for the plastic preforms and closures. So what would be your capex over there and the timelines for commissioning this plant? And also I assume this will be close to your Pathankot plant, so there would be some savings in your logistics cost as well.
Absolutely. So this will be approximately about 190 crores.
Okay.
And we expect this to be operational by next year. And the biggest advantage we'll have is all the new acquisitions we had done, we did not have a backward integration, which was acquired from PepsiCo. So this will take care of the backward integration for our the new plants which we have acquired also with.
So sir, commission by next year, any particular month, first half, second half, if you could give?
For the season.
It will be before the season, so we are looking at by March.
Okay, so again less than 6 months time.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And sir, in the first 6 months, I remember in the last call you had said that debt was reduced by 625 crores. So in these 3 months, any debt repayment that you have done?
It was 2,400 and it stays at 2,400. In this period, some of the capex, capital working progress has happened, dividend payment has happened, and some tax payments has happened. So debt that way is not reduced.
Because part of this expansion, what you are seeing in Bihar and Kathua, this has been already paid out from this quarter without increasing our debt.
Correct. Got it. And sir, just lastly, on the average cost of debt, what would it be currently versus, say, December ending in 2020?
Today it may be around 5.5% average cost, and last year maybe 6.5%.
Okay, 6.5. So almost 100 bps cut there.
That's right.
Okay, and just one
debt which you are borrowing is to the tune of something 4.2% like.
Okay, this is the borrowing cost currently.
This marginal which we are borrowing for it.
Our average borrowing cost is about 5.5%, but marginal cost what is temporary we are borrowing is at 4.2%.
Okay. And sir, this 40 point.
May I request you to come back in the question queue for a follow-up question? Thank you. The next question is from the line of Devanshu Bansal from Emkay Global Financial Services. Please go ahead.
Yes, hi. Thanks for the opportunity and congratulations on a great set of numbers. Sir, we have seen a 10% increase in international realizations so far in 9 months. So firstly, what has led to improvement in realizations in these markets despite higher share of water?
See, Morocco has started performing. Morocco was one of the territories where we were struggling, and from last year, Morocco has started performing well, and this year it has performed extremely well for us. And we've had huge growth there, and partly the growth is because of water. So that is one part, and then and exchange rate has a.
Okay. In fact, per case realization, if you're asking, if your question is specifically for that, it's because of the currency translation. The currency in Zambia is improved, and realization per case in Morocco with the reduction in the discounts has gone up.
Sir, can we assume that these levels are sustainable, as in what is the viewpoint that you guys are having as of now?
Of course,
We hope to even make it better because our lines in Morocco, the expansion lines only came into production in end of June. So they should be much better actually next year.
Sure, that's encouraging. Secondly, we book about 90 to 100 crores of other operating revenues in the top line as rebates from state government. What is the run rate that we should assume for this going ahead?
Whatever rebate is getting captured, that's a long term, still maybe 6, 7, 8 years left. There are few selected couple of plants where these are entitled to. Rest all there is no such exemption.
Okay. Lastly, sir, our business shall generate a lot of cash going ahead. Suppose debt reduction over the next 3-4 years. Can you suggest as in how you plan to utilize this cash generated in the business post these 3-4 years?
So we are hoping so for some additional territories. We are working with PepsiCo, and as and when we get some new territories signed up with PepsiCo, we will inform you. But we are going slow because mostly we have already got everything, so we have to the territories which are left for us is mostly Africa, and we want our exposure to be very limited. And as Indian business keeps expanding, we will keep on adding maybe one country by one country in Africa.
Sure. Sir, I have one last question. Can I go ahead?
Sure.
So carbonates category grew faster than water and juice category. So if you look at this 11% CAGR number, carbonates have grown at 12% and water juice have on a 2-year basis have grown at 7 to 9%. So general in terms of trends, if we see focus on hygiene and health should lead to higher growth in juice and water. Can you help us understand how do you see growth trends in these two segments going ahead?
Well, water, juice and dairy, they will all grow at substantial. It is basically, this year is not the right year to judge anything as the go-to market had reduced in the peak season. So obviously as people were not going out, they were not drinking mineral water. Our population don't drink mineral water sitting at home. So that is one of the reasons. And as I said, the energy drink or the smaller packs were, even the smaller dairy packs, which we are, what we call our flavored milks and other dairy products, they were all slow, partly, although fast enough, but slower than what we had anticipated. So I think you will see huge growth in the non-carbonated products also next year with the go-to market increasing.
Thank you, sir. That's it from me.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Pritesh Chheda from Lucky Investment Managers. Please go ahead.
Yeah, sir. This time in your opening comments, you mentioned that the 2-year volume organic growth was 11%. Now, it's been about a couple of years before which we did the acquisition, and 2 years were fairly difficult. And considering that this year also we missed the season, is it fair to assume that incrementally, considering the white spaces that you have in South, plus, the normal growth, we should register a fairly significant double-digit organic volume growth on our total portfolio in India, is my first question. My second question is, until a couple of quarters back, we were mentioning that we did not require capex, and a lot of the capex would be maintenance. Just wanted to understand, this Bihar capex, is it that we never had a plant or were not servicing that region and we are putting it, or any other reason for coming up with a 300 crore capex? And lastly, on the operating...
Let me answer this because I'll forget your other question.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
First, I'll answer the Bihar part, what you asked me. See, Bihar, we never had a plant, and Bihar is a large territory, although very lowly penetrated, and when we have plants around in other states, and we were servicing it out of UP. But unfortunately, you can never do servicing properly when you're bringing product from other states and and especially for a large state like Bihar. And our market share was so low in Bihar that we feel the growth opportunity in Bihar is going to be so large. And until we put our own plant there within the state, it will be impossible to garner that. And being a 100 million plus population state, we don't want to let it be lying. So that is one of the key reasons why we are putting up a large greenfield plant, which we would have otherwise maybe not put.
Okay. On the volume growth outlook, do we see a case where...
If you look at the volume growth post-pandemic, if you look at the last quarter also, it's clearly showing what the growth are looking like, and we hope we can maintain this. I can't say that it will be as robust as this, but we feel the market is ready and there is enough demand in the market, and I hope we should do extremely well next year.
Okay. So the question on operating leverage, this EBITDA per case, we were always of the opinion that, considering the fact that we have spare capacities everywhere, this 30, 31, 32 rupee EBITDA per case should move higher. Is there any change in the thought process there, or what are we doing to improve the profitability of the business?
See, we had always said that 21% EBITDA margin is one of the highest. We can always keep trying to do better than that, but to really say that or assume that we will do much higher than 21% is going to be very tough, because every year there is some new challenge, or like this year the PET prices are higher, but we are taking corrections as and when whatever is happening, to at least making sure to maintain our 21% margin. And this year we have taken the initiative of reducing the weight. Now this weight reduction is going to be permanent. It's not going to be for the year when the petroleum prices are higher. So as the petroleum prices rationalize, this will definitely add to our margins. But we never want to say that we will do better than 21%, because as it is, 21% is a huge and very high margin. So if we can keep increasing our top line with the growth what we are seeing, I think the 21% margin will be very, very reasonable.
Okay. And so last, I wanted to check a bookkeeping question. I was searching the presentation, I couldn't get. What is the 9-month India volume growth and what is the 9-month international volume growth?
India last 9 months is 36.4% volume growth, and international 29.7%.
Okay. Thank you very much. Wish you happy Diwali and Happy New Year, Mr. Jaipuria and Mr. Gandhi. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy Diwali.
Happy Diwali.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Bharat Shah from ASK Investment Managers. Please go ahead.
Yeah, Raviji, namaskar. Raj Saab, namaskar.
जी शाह साहब कहते हैं.
एकदम असम. Thank you, sir. Just one issue. I mean, Varun Beverage has been a phenomenal execution machinery. We have put out different products. We have diversified into categories. We have both territories, and now we are putting up plants at locations which will help us, which were not penetrated well. So all of these things have been at the back of the execution machinery that this business demands, and that Varun has provided all along. Now, if you look at in 2019 calendar year, the peak season turnover was 2,500 crore. That is April to June. 2020, clearly because of the challenge, it slumped to 1,400. And 2021, again, unfortunately, the same challenge, but we still did better at about 2,000 crore. A very hypothetical question I want to ask. Given our preparedness, given our strength of the manufacturing, distribution, product portfolio, diversity of the category, territory acquisition and everything, if supposing in the current calendar year, these wave 2 were not to occur, that 2,500 crore in 19, would it have looked like 3,500 to 4,000 crore? What it would have? I'm very hypothetically just trying to understand your mind.
Well, technically, yes. I mean, if we can grow at 25-30% during the other after pandemic in July, August, September, and what we have done in 19, there is no reason why we should not have grown in the quarter when the pandemic happened. So theoretically, yes, what you are saying is can happen and should happen, but I don't want to say it will happen because that's.
In fact, that should not be taken as a forward-looking statement. But what I can draw, if I extrapolate the Q3 of this year, which is 11% CAGR, and the same if on 2,200, if we apply 11% CAGR. Next year, meaning about 35-36%. So automatically we reach to the level which is expected. And you rightly pointed out that our execution is one of the best, our margins are one of the best. I think we can definitely reach that and meet your expectations.
So, Raviji, suppose let me take that hypothetical conjecture a little further. To repeat, 2,500 in 19, 1,400 in 20, 2,000 in 21. And if you look at the other periods, once we leave out the challenge of calendar 2020, but given the way we are doing it in 2021, if 2022 season is normal, would it be fair to say that a 20% compounded growth from 19 till 20 should take us actually closer to 4,000 odd crore in the April to June season of 2022? Is that possibility, or it's a wide guess on my part?
It's a possibility, but wide possibility, and I'm sure if we have a decent season and we don't have any pandemic, there is no reason why we can't, and especially after increasing and expanding our go-to market in South, in West, and in East, and with our plants coming up in Bihar, which was one territory which was being under-serviced, and a decent sized territory. There's no reason why we should not be able to expand in a very healthy way. But the exact numbers, obviously, I can't tell you. But if we can grow in the other months, there's no reason why we should not grow in the peak season. We have enough capacity.
Yes. No, so I'm just taking the same kind of a growth rate that we are now clocking when we still don't have a full normalcy, but our growth rates are reflecting very healthy robustness. So if I'm saying, even if we do, supposing from 2019 a 12-13% kind of a compounded growth, in the 3-year period. That should take us to 3,500 crore. And if we are talking of something like 16% compounding in these 3 years, it should take us to 4,000 crore. So I'm saying about 12, 13 to 16% compounding as if pandemic were not to intervene in 2022. In your opinion, it's not a wild conjecture. It is a possibility.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you and wish you a great Diwali, Ravi ji.
जो आप कह रहे हैं मैं आपको सही करके दिखा सकूं और आप फिर मुझे कोई अच्छी जगह डिनर खिलाएं.
बिल्कुल पक्का खिलाएंगे सर. Next time when I'm in Delhi, we'll certainly be there. Wish you great Diwali. हाँ जी, wish you great Diwali, Raj साहब and Jatogya साहब. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I request all the participants, please restrict to 2 questions per participant. The next question is from the line of Aniruddha Joshi from ICICI Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, sir, thanks for the opportunity. So just one question. We are having a pretty strong revenue growth and it's likely to continue in coming quarters too. So how do we see the investment in distribution expansion? Because capex we are doing, how do we see the distribution? Because the retail touch points has remained at around 2 million for almost couple of years. I agree, COVID may not have allowed the opportunity to expand the distribution, but what is the plan on that? And is the company working with any distribution expansion plan? Or lastly, is the 2 million count in a way sufficient to drive the growth in coming quarters?
See, we are expanding our distribution, but unfortunately because of COVID, a large number of stores shut down. So going forward, definitely, if next year is a clear year, there will be expansion of number of outlets, because without expansion it can't work, and we are targeting to increase between 10 to 15% number of outlets, so which would be close to about 300,000 outlets.
Okay. And so these would be in any particular region you are looking at, or it would be?
It will be in the regions where we are very weak, obviously where we have less penetration, and as I said to you, the newly acquired territories and the markets where we have been weak, which is east, west, and south, we will have to expand our outlet base much faster. And we have already started expanding, but obviously couldn't do justice because of the 2 bad years of in the peak season. And that is why you are actually seeing the growth coming even after the peak season is over.
Right. And lastly, what will be our e-commerce plus modern trade contribution, and how it would have changed YOY?
Just one second.
It's 5.6% for the organized restaurants and the modern trade together.
5.6% for, sorry sir?
Modern trade as well as the organized restaurants, both taken together.
See, a lot of the restaurants shut down this year. There was a lot of reduction in the number of outlets in restaurants. I mean, most half of them have still not even applied for licenses. If you read in the newspapers, a lot of the individual restaurants, poor people could not even apply for relicensing. So there has been a big jolt in this category. It's basically the fast foods which are really growing fast, which are large and big brands. But the small restaurants a lot of them have shut down.
Okay. Sir, e-com number if you can share. E-commerce.
It's part of the modern trade.
Okay.
Our
Okay. Sure,
overall
sir.
volumes of this traditional trade is where major volumes are coming. E-com and modern trade is still very low.
Okay. Okay. So understood. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Next question is from the line of Vicky Punjabi from JM Financial Services. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Thanks for taking my question. So firstly, just trying to understand the capacity utilization here. So, when the IPO happened, there was a thought process that the capacities were underutilized. We've seen capex over the years, and there is always a tussle between optimizing freight cost and expanding capacities or increasing utilization. So if we were to understand these limitations, what's the kind of optimal capacity utilization that the company can target, and versus that, where are we currently? And
if you look at it, the expansion you are seeing is either in the back end, which we did not have when we acquired PepsiCo plants because they didn't have any back end capacities. And the other second expansion you are seeing is basically in a territory where we bought without the plant. So Bihar was the only territory we bought which we did not buy with the plant. So we did not pay for it. Our capex was very low in Bihar to acquire the territory. So to make sure that going forward, and that is why you are seeing a greenfield. So both the things are not related to our existing capacities, but to the additional territory which we had bought or the back end which we want to make sure that, because if we don't have that next year, a lot of people are going to have trouble getting the back end support. Logistics are becoming a nightmare. So we want to foolproof ourselves and make sure that we are not lacking into anything.
Sure. So my question is a little on the side of, what do you think would be the optimal capacity utilization, and where are you currently? And, once possibly that optimal capacity utilization is reached, will that capex guidance of, being equal to depreciation actually go higher?
Oh, it could, but if we can achieve that, our profitability and bottom line will go up simultaneously, because as the turnover will go up, as the EBITDA will go up, and if we are growing faster than a certain pace, then we'll have to keep building new capacities. It doesn't have to be greenfields; they can be brownfields. So,
right.
If the margin and the volume grows faster than what our anticipation is, then of course our capex will also go up.
Sure. No, I was just thinking from the perspective of the cash utilization in the business. So I just wanted to understand where expect reaching an optimal capacity utilization.
See, Vicky, here it is that as the guidance, adequate guidance is given. One is when we are reaching to the new territory, or if we buy the territory without plant, or we are the company which has the maximum margin because we 100% backward integrate. And also added to this, one more thing you can also see that when we go to the territories like South and West, where the seasonality is lower, so lesser capex is needed. Then North and East, where higher investment is needed, capex is needed because of the seasonality. And now there is new angle, which is the juice or the dairy. The special kind of equipments are needed, and like 57% in this quarter we have grown, and in the pandemic year. And if that opens up, and if we continue growth like stream 100+% for another couple of years, we will have to repeat these plants in South and West also. I mean, it becomes very difficult to project at this moment. However, quarterly basis, as and when there is any demand comes with giving the data utilization, we keep on evolving and giving our capex plans. So the guidance is that, as in the last two sentences it is given, applies all over. And one more thing is that earlier, 100% of the mix used to be glass, which came down gradually. Today, glass is about 15%. And the capacity at the time of IPO, which was mentioned, on overall basis. Now you have to dissect that for glass, which cannot be interchanged with PET. PET is growing like anything. Glass for last 5 years has not grown at all. So that capacity it's not fungible to PET. Simply the capacity for dairy or for Tropicana is not fungible with the carbonated juice. So these plus minuses are to be seen. Maybe some capex in advance, some maybe later. However, whatever is invested sooner or later in the vast country gets utilized. We have to be broadly on track. I can only say that, and therefore is the omnibus guidance that what we perceive today is that the capex is going to be around depreciation figure for modeling purposes and which if we see for last 5, 7, 10 years analysis will come true. Yeah.
Sure. Okay, sir. And just one more question I wanted to understand. While South and West territories have been impacted during the peak season, in the non-peak season, I mean, in this quarter, you've done something like a 37% growth. Would you have any idea on how the territories themselves have grown, and was there any kind of market share gains here?
Talk about the market share, but as the chairman had initially said that South and West has grown from 36.9 or 37% in current year.
Yeah. And the market growth rate, any clues on that? How has the market been?
We don't have the exact figure.
At the end of the year.
On a quarterly basis, we don't get that figure.
Okay. Sure, sir. Okay, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for taking my question.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I'll hand the conference over to the management for closing comments.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I hope we have been able to answer all your questions satisfactorily. Should you need any further clarifications or would like to know more about the company, please feel free to contact our investor relations team. Thank you once again for your interest and support and for taking the time to join us on this call. Look forward to interacting with you soon. Thank you very much. And wish you a happy Diwali.
Thank you very much. On behalf of Varun Beverages Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us. You may now disconnect your lines. Thank you.